You know, in my 28 years as a physician, I've seen countless patients, good people, worried about losing their independence. And it so often starts with the legs. But what I've also seen, and what I want to share with you today, is how the right foods can truly turn things around. So, let's get right into it.
This really happened. It was just a quiet moment. No warning at all. Her legs had just given up. What she didn't realize at that moment was that the key to getting them back was waiting for her right in her own kitchen.
So, let me ask you this. When did you last stop and really, seriously think about it? It's a question we tend to push aside, don't we? Until a simple staircase starts to feel like a mountain. Well, today, we're going to face that question head on. Now, there's a medical term for this quiet decline, sarcopenia. But here's the most important part, the thing I really want you to hear. The right foods can slow this process way down, and in many cases, we can even partially reverse it. This isn't wishful thinking, this is documented science.
Okay, so first things first, we need fuel. And I don't mean just any fuel. We need steady, reliable energy to stop our muscles from, well, basically starving in the middle of the day.
Does that sound familiar? That afternoon crash where even simple tasks feel like a chore? Well, that's often a clear sign that your muscles just aren't getting the sustained power they desperately need. And that brings us to our very first food.
Sweet potatoes are fantastic because they release their fuel steadily, which prevents those energy crashes that leave you feeling weak. But what's really fascinating here is the beta-carotene. It actively fights chronic inflammation, which is one of the most underestimated destroyers of muscle tissue in older adults.
Now, let me be very clear. This is not a suggestion. A conversation with your doctor on this is absolutely essential.
How about this one? That feeling of heaviness, of fatigue, setting in during a walk much sooner than it used to. That isn't just you getting older. It's a very specific nutritional signal that your body is sending you.
Oats are just brilliant because they do two critical jobs at once. They give you slow-releasing carbs for fuel, and they provide plant-based protein for repair. That magnesium is also a huge deal for cutting down on those painful leg cramps at night. Please hear this. The added sugars you find in those flavored packets, they will actively work against you and cancel out the benefits. You have to stick to the plain varieties. All right, now that we've covered fuel, let's talk about putting out the fire. Our next two foods target that chronic, low-grade inflammation that's the real culprit behind so much stiffness and pain. You know that groan when you stand up from a chair? That feeling isn't inevitable. It's often a direct sign of inflammation that's settled into your muscle and joint tissue.
The solution here often lies in healthy fats. The monounsaturated fats in avocados, for example, directly calm down those inflammatory markers. And here's a surprising little fact for you. They actually pack more muscle-stabilizing potassium than a banana.
Portion control here is important, and for anyone on specific medications like blood thinners, this is a non-negotiable conversation to have with your physician.
What about when recovery just seems to take forever? When soreness lingers after a walk you used to handle easily? That means your muscles are really struggling against cellular damage.
Think of berries as nature's own little defense force. Their antioxidants go in and neutralize the free radicals that damage your muscle fibers after activity. And what does that mean for you? Less soreness and much faster repair.
To get these incredible benefits, you really do need the whole fruit. Juices and those sweetened versions just load you up with sugar without giving you that protective fiber. Okay, now for the heavy hitters. These last two foods don't just protect your muscles, they actively provide the raw materials to rebuild them. This is where we get serious about strength. See, after 60, the balance can tip. We can shift from rebuilding muscle to breaking it down. Our goal with these foods is to tip that balance right back in your favor. Salmon is a true powerhouse. It gives you that high-quality protein to rebuild tissue, while its omega-3s are reducing the inflammation that breaks that tissue down. It's this one-two punch that makes it so incredibly effective for our muscles as we age. This is a critical warning.
The powerful effects of omega-3s absolutely require medical supervision if you are on these types of medications.
You know, there's one food that comes up over and over again when I talk to my colleagues about rebuilding strength in our older patients.
It's the humble egg. It's just perfectly designed. It contains all 9 of the essential amino acids, the literal building blocks of muscle. And the choline in the yolk is vital for the nerve signals that talk to your muscles, which directly impacts your balance and helps prevent falls.
So please, don't discard the yolk. That's where so many of the most powerful nutrients are. And as always, if you have a pre-existing condition, you need to talk to your doctor.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds good in theory, but let me show you what this actually looks like in the real world.
This is a patient of mine, Margaret. She simply started consistently adding salmon, eggs, and berries into her diet. Her results aren't some kind of magic. They are biology, plain and simple.
I want you to look at this number, 34%. This number represents the real, measurable power of these foods. But what does it actually mean?
It means that a recent study in a leading medical journal confirmed exactly what I see in my practice every day. Older adults who were eating these types of foods showed significantly slower muscle loss by up to 34%. This isn't a fad, this is physiology.
So, if you take one thing away today, let it be this. This is not just about the inevitability of age. It's about nourishment. And that is something you can change, starting with your very next meal.
And finally, a vital reminder, food is powerful medicine. There's no doubt about it. But it is not a replacement for your doctor. If you're experiencing these symptoms, you need to seek medical care right away.
Just think about it for a moment. Your legs have carried you your entire life. So now, it's your turn to carry them. Give them what they need, and they will continue to carry you forward.
All right, we've talked about the right foods to build leg strength, which is awesome. But, food is really only half the battle. It provides the building blocks. Today, we're jumping into the other half, the part that actually tells your body what to do with those blocks. We're talking about activation. These are the 6 key exercises that signal your body to use those nutrients and, yes, actually rebuild muscle. So let's get right into it.
So I want to start by asking you a question, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. When was the last time you moved your legs with true intention? And I don't mean just walk into the kitchen or getting out of the car. I mean really challenging your muscles in a way that reminds your body that it still needs to be strong. For a lot of us over 60, that question can bring up some stuff, can't it? It can feel a little uncomfortable. And you know what? There's a really good reason for that discomfort. Let's just face it, the fitness world was not built for you. I mean, you look online, you turn on the TV, and it's all 20-somethings doing these crazy workouts that look more likely to cause an injury than to actually build any strength. So it's no wonder, really, that so many of us just kind of give up and think, that's not for me. But listen to this, because this idea changes everything. Your muscles, they don't have a calendar. They have no idea how old you are. They only know one thing. Are they being challenged or not? That's it. When you apply the right kind of stress, your body's one and only response is to rebuild and get stronger. Age is not the barrier we've been told it is. Not at all. Now, there's a medical term for this decline we see. It's called sarcopenia. But what I want you to really notice on this slide is how it's defined. It's not a disease you catch, like a cold. It's a condition you drift into. Think about that. It happens one day, 1 week, 1 month at a time. And the beautiful thing about that? It means you can also choose to drift right back out of it. That whole use it or lose it thing, well, it's absolutely real. And the numbers here are pretty shocking. Without some kind of intentional movement, you can lose up to 2% of your muscle every single year. So you do the math, or 5 years, that's a 10% loss. And that's not just some abstract number. That's the difference between easily getting up from a chair and struggling. It's your independence. So where do we start this journey back? We start safely. The very first exercise is the seated leg press. And this is the absolute perfect entry point because it really targets your quadriceps, those big, powerful muscles on the front of your thighs, without putting any dangerous stress on your joints. And those muscles, they're your body's first line of defense against a fall. Okay, here's exactly how you do it. You're going to sit tall in a sturdy chair, back nice and straight. Loop a resistance band around the ball of one of your feet. Now slowly, and I mean slowly, push and extend that leg until it's almost straight. Pause for a full second, and then, and this is the most important part, you're going to return to the start just as slowly. That slow, controlled return, that is where all the muscle rebuilding magic happens. And this quote from Robert just perfectly illustrates the first changes you'll feel. Robert is a 76-year-old patient of mine. He started doing just this exercise, and within 3 weeks, he came in and told me, my own hallway feels different. Now, he hadn't built giant muscles yet. What happened was his brain and his muscles started talking to each other again. And that's what you'll notice first. You will feel better long before you look stronger. Okay, let's get to our second exercise. And I'm telling you, please do not underestimate this one. The sit to stand, when you do it with control and intention, is, well, it's probably the single most important movement for keeping your independence for the rest of your life. It's that critical. So here's how we do it right. Scoot to the edge of a sturdy chair, get your feet flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest. Now, lean forward just a little and drive through your heels to stand all the way up. Good. Pause at the top. And then comes the real work. Lower yourself back down with complete control. You have to fight that urge to just collapse or drop back into the chair. That controlled lowering is what strengthens your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes all at once. And look, this isn't just an exercise. It's basically a crystal ball for your future mobility. Study after study shows a direct link between your ability to do this movement and your risk of falling. So by mastering this, you're not just building muscle. You're literally building the confidence to move freely through your world without fear. Next up, number 3, the standing calf raise. Now, your calf muscles are amazing. Some people call them the body's second heart because they play a huge role in pumping blood back up from your legs. So stand behind a chair, just hold it lightly for a little balance. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, hold it for a beat, and then lower yourself back down with control. This is fantastic for circulation and, so importantly, for your ankle stability. And I really want to pause on this idea for a second. I know so many people are afraid to exercise because they're afraid of falling. It's a real fear. But using a chair for balance, that is not a sign of weakness. The chair is not a crutch. It is a smart tool. It's a tool that lets you safely challenge your muscles so they can get stronger. Use your tools. Be smart. All right, now for a muscle you've probably never even heard of, but trust me, you absolutely need it working for you. It's called the gluteus medius. And this exercise, the standing hip abduction, strengthens it. You just stand beside your chair and slowly lift one leg straight out to the side. The key is to keep your torso perfectly still. This little muscle is what prevents that hip drop that can cause a waddling gait, which, as you can imagine, dramatically increases the risk of a fall. Exercise number 5 is all about your hamstrings, the muscles on the back of your thigh. They're the counterpart to your quads, and together they keep your knees stable and strong. So, standing behind your chair for balance, just bend your knee and bring your heel up towards your glute. Then lower it with control. Oh, and a quick tip, if you ever get cramps doing this, slow down and really make sure you're well hydrated. It's a surprisingly common issue, and it's usually an easy fix. Now, I saved this last one for a reason. The first 5 exercises, they build the raw material. They build your strength. This final one, the standing balance hold, it's different. This exercise trains your nervous system how to use that strength. See, balance isn't just about muscle. It's a skill. It's all about the quality of communication between your body and your brain. And the exercise itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. You stand next to your chair, and you lift one foot just an inch or so off the floor. And you hold it for 10, 20, maybe 30 seconds. That's it. Now, if you want to take it to the next level,
Try closing your eyes for just 5 seconds. When you take away your vision, you force all those tiny little internal balance sensors in your body to wake up and get to work. It's incredibly powerful. And this is the real-world result. This is what it's all about. My patient, Dorothy, she'd had 2 falls and was terrified of moving. She started this program, and after about 8 weeks, the biggest change wasn't just that she was physically more stable. She told me she had stopped mentally calculating every single step she took. That fear, that heavy mental burden she was carrying, it just lifted. Now that is true freedom. Okay, so all this information is great, but a plan is what makes it happen, right? So here it is. This is not some everyday all-consuming commitment. All you need to do is aim for 3, maybe 4 sessions a week. Make sure you get at least 1 rest day in between because that's when the rebuilding happens. Remember, consistency is so much more important than intensity. And here's what one of those sessions looks like. The sequence here is very intentional. We start with the big engine muscles, the leg press and the sit to stand. Then we move to the smaller but crucial stabilizing muscles like the calf raises and hip abductions. And we finish with that all-important brain work, the balance hold. It's a complete, incredibly efficient workout that you can do in about 20 minutes. So now let's bring it all together. Remember all those key foods we talked about before? The salmon, the eggs, the sweet potatoes? That's the material. These 6 exercises, that's the activation. Think of it this way. Food provides the bricks and mortar for the construction site. But movement is the foreman showing up and telling the crew to get to work. Neither one works very well without the other. They are 2 halves of one single powerful system. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. Your legs have carried you through your entire life story. Every joy, every challenge, and the science is absolutely clear on this. They are ready and waiting for new instructions from you. Losing your strength is not inevitable. It's a choice. So my question to you is, what new challenge are you going to ask of them tomorrow? You know, we spend so much time focusing on what to add to our diet for strength, the right proteins, the best vegetables, the key exercises. But honestly, that's only half the story. The other half, the part that's arguably more important, is understanding what's quietly, secretly, destroying your leg strength day after day. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose the 5 biggest culprits. This right here, this is the single most important idea I want you to walk away with. You don't need a bag of chips and then feel weaker the next morning. It doesn't work like that. The damage is a slow burn. It's an insidious process where these foods create a hostile environment inside your body that makes it harder to maintain muscle. And over the years, you feel that gradual decline and you just chalk it up to aging. But what if it's not? For so many people, it's the diet. So let's frame this the right way. We're not talking about bad foods. That's too simple. What we're really talking about are 5 categories of hidden saboteurs. These are things that sneak into your diet and completely undermine all your hard work. They literally create a biochemical environment where your muscles just can't thrive. So let's unmask them one by one. Okay, our first culprits is a huge one. It's the ultra-processed snack foods. I'm talking about the chips, the crackers, the packaged cookies, all the things that are just so easy to grab from the pantry. Now, most of us know they aren't exactly health food, but the way they damage your muscles, well, that might actually surprise you. The real danger isn't just about empty calories. Nope. It's what these snacks are made with, specifically industrial seed oils. Think soybean, corn, sunflower oil. These things are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. Now, we need a little bit of omega-6, but our modern diet has thrown the balance completely out of whack. It creates this constant low-grade fire of inflammation all throughout your body. I call it an inflammatory storm. And this isn't some abstract concept. That inflammation is a key driver of sarcopenia. That's the medical term for age-related muscle loss. Basically, that internal fire disrupts the signals your muscles need to repair and rebuild themselves. It puts them in this state of constant biological stress, making it nearly impossible for them to ever get stronger no matter how much you exercise. To make this real, let me tell you about a patient of mine. Let's call him Gerald. He's 68, works out all the time, but he was actually getting weaker. When we looked at his diet, his omega-6 to omega-3 ratio was a staggering 25-1. The optimal ratio is down around 4-1. Can you see the problem? He was trying to build a house in the middle of a hurricane. As soon as we cut out the processed snacks, he finally started seeing the strength gains he'd been working so hard for. All right, next up, we have a classic duo. Two saboteurs that love to hide in plain sight, sugar and salt. And you're going to be shocked where they pop up. What's this number? 60 grams. That is the amount of sugar I found in a single bottle of a so-called healthy smoothie from the grocery store. 60 grams. And the problem with liquid sugar is its speed. It hits your bloodstream like a tidal wave because there's absolutely no fiber to slow it down. And that massive sugar spike forces your body to release a huge wave of insulin. When you do that over and over again, day after day, your muscle cells start to go numb to the signal. They become insulin resistant. And here's the crucial part. It means that even if you're eating plenty of protein, your muscles can't actually absorb it. The delivery system is broken. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. All that extra sugar in your system leads to a process called glycation. You can literally think of it as sugar caramelizing the proteins inside your body, in your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments. This makes them stiff, brittle, and way more likely to get injured. That directly leads to the joint pain and instability that so many people struggle with. Now let's switch to salt. This number, 1,500 milligrams, that's the recommended daily limit for most adults over 60. And you can blow past that with a single processed meal. A can of soup, a frozen dinner, boom, you're already over your limit for the day. The key here is all about balance. Your muscle cells need potassium to function correctly, but processed foods just flood your system with sodium. This throws off that delicate sodium-potassium balance that's essential for proper muscle contraction. And the result? Your muscles just feel weaker, you get tired faster, and you become way more prone to those awful, painful leg cramps. All right. Our final two categories are alcohol and refined flour. Now, I get it. These can be sensitive subjects. They are so deeply woven into our social lives and daily routines. But my job is to just give you the clinical facts, straight up, no judgment. When it comes to your muscles, alcohol wages a war on multiple fronts. It actively suppresses the very signals that tell your muscles to get stronger. At the same time, it elevates the stress hormone cortisol, which breaks muscle down. It wrecks your deep sleep, which is prime time for your body to release growth hormone for repair. On top of that, it can directly damage the nerves that control your legs, and it depletes the key nutrients your muscles need just to function. And we're not just talking about heavy drinking here. Even a couple glasses of wine a night, over time, really contributes to this. Now, let's talk about refined flour. You find it everywhere. White bread, pasta, most baked goods. I need to be crystal clear about this. Once you strip away all the fiber and nutrients, your body metabolizes refined flour almost exactly like it metabolizes pure sugar. It spikes your blood glucose and drives insulin resistance through the exact same damaging pathway we just talked about. But for those of us over 60, there's an even bigger problem here. It's something called nutrient displacement. It's about what you're not eating. See, as our calorie needs go down with age, every single meal becomes more important. Every bite counts. A lunch that's built around a white bread sandwich isn't just neutral. It's a massive missed opportunity to get the high-quality protein and micronutrients your muscles are starving for. You're literally subtracting from your nutritional budget. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, like drinking from a fire hose. And if you're recognizing a few of these categories in your own diet, the goal is not to feel overwhelmed. The goal is to feel informed and to feel empowered. So let's pivot from the problem to a practical, doable solution. I say this to my patients every single day. Eating these things is not a character flaw. You developed these habits in a food environment that is literally designed to make these foods cheap, convenient, and irresistible. You weren't given the right information, but you have it now, and that changes everything. So here's the approach that actually works in the real world. Please do not try to change everything overnight. You'll just get frustrated and give up. Instead, just choose one. Just one category from this list. Maybe it's the sugary drinks, maybe it's the chips. Focus only on reducing that one thing for the next 3 weeks. Make it a habit. Once that feels normal, then you can move on to the next category. This is how you make it stick. And this is how it all fits together into one complete system. The good foods we've talked about, they supply the raw materials. The key exercises, they apply the stimulus for growth. And the 5 food categories we covered today, they are the interference, the biochemical static. So the whole system is really simple. You remove the interference, you supply the materials, and you apply the stimulus. That is the formula for protecting your legs for decades to come. Your muscles are not beyond repair. They're just waiting for the right instructions. The power you have in your next choice, your next meal, is more profound than you might realize. The path back to strong steeple movement isn't about some massive, painful overhaul. It's built one small, informed decision at a time. So the only real question left is, which choice will you make today?